Shalom, everyone. Greetings in the wonderful names of Yahweh and his son, Yeshua, the Messiah. It's Nick Vanderlaan here from Jerusalem. It's the 14th day of the first month on the Enoch Zadok solar calendar. It's also the April 3rd on the Gregorian calendar, 2018. This video, I've been sending you guys out some information as I've been understanding these things, as well as a lot of people. I mean, we're all coming to these understandings of these truths. The last video I did was about how the day, it starts at sunrise, not at sunset. And I got a viewer pointing me to some videos, and it was just conclusive, irrefutable proof from the scriptures when the day starts. So what I did was I took the sacrifice and resurrection week, and I now went to the scriptures and I laid these things out, and I'm going to be taking you through that in this presentation. What else I did was I looked at how to keep the feast of the unleavened bread. There's a lot of confusion because of the false assumptions that the day starts at sunset. So I put together some diagrams, and let's go ahead and get into them. I'd love to hear what you guys think, but this is how I see it now. I don't see how it could be wrong. All the scriptures are lining up with the Enoch calendar, just the way that the days are set up, how the first day of the first month is the fourth day of the week. Events in the scriptures are all starting to prove out on this Enoch calendar as I line up these events on there. I talked about David and how he wasn't at Saul's table 2 nights in a row. Okay, guys, so here's the presentation. Let's get into it. The sacrifice and resurrection week fit perfectly on the Enoch calendar. So there's a couple of New Testament scriptures I want to bring you guys through, regarding the time period of this, and then we're going to get to my graphic chart calendar, whatever you want to call it, to go over the scriptures, to prove out the scriptures on the Enoch calendar. So Luke 22:17, this story right here, please stop and pause if you need it. So then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed. And he sent Peter and John, saying, "Go prepare us the Passover that we may eat." So this is clearly the Passover meal. This isn't the Last Supper. Okay. And they said unto him, "Where wilt thou that we prepare?" And he said unto them, "Behold, when you are entered into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he entereth in. And ye shall say unto the good man of the house, The master saith unto thee, Where is the guest chamber? Where shall I eat the Passover with my disciples?" Okay, again, this is the Passover meal. Okay, not this Last Supper that they're talking about. "And he shall show you a large upper room furnished. There make ready." And they went and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover. And when the hour was come, he sat down, and the 12 apostles with him. And he said unto them, With desire I've desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. Okay, so Passover, 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 Passover. This is clearly the Passover, not a Last Supper. The problems, there's so much confusion because of the false calendar systems that have been put in. And now that we have the Enoch solar calendar, I'm anxious, guys, to show you what I found on how it lines up with Scripture. The other scripture that I want to bring you through before we get into the graphic calendar that I made is Matthew 28, verse 1. "In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre." Okay, so it's the end of the Sabbath, guys. As it began to dawn, dawn is only in the morning when the sun's coming up, okay, toward the first day of the week, which we guys know. After you saw my last video that I recommended you guys to, I shared you the video that proves out these things, that the day starts at sunrise, not at sunset. This does not make any sense. Matthew 28, verse 1 does not make any sense if the day started at sunset. Okay, so I'm going to show you these things because besides showing you the sacrifice of Yeshua and his resurrection on the calendar, we're also going to go through the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread and how it lines up and how it overlays on the Enoch calendar. Very exciting stuff because it just confirms, the scripture confirms these things. So here is the graphic I made. Sacrifice and Resurrection Week perfectly fits on the Enoch calendar. We're going to go over the calendar and then we'll talk about it. First thing first, the day starts at sunrise. Then you have sunset and dawn. And in between sunrise and sunset is daytime, and in between sunset and dawn is nighttime. All right? So you have the daytime in the light blue, you have the nighttime in the dark blue, and that's your full day. Next thing I want to bring your guys' attention to is these days up here. This is the day of the first month, also known as Abib. It's the 14th day, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. On the Enoch calendar, okay, because how the Enoch calendar works, I believe, and many other people believe as well, the day after the spring equinox is the first day of the first month. And that day will always be reset to the fourth day of the week when the sun, moon, and stars were given for appointed times, signals, days, and years. Okay? The 14th day of the first month will always be on the third day of the week. Okay? So Passover, guys, is always on the third day of the week. So Passover, the 14th day of the first month, will always fall on a third day of the week. The 15th day of the first month, which is the first day of unleavened bread, will be on the fourth day of the week. Okay, the 16th will be on the fifth day. The 17th will always be on the sixth day. The 18th day of the first month will always be a Sabbath, the seventh day of the week. And then the 19th day will always be the first day of the week. And it shouldn't be over here on this side, but it's here for this purpose, okay? If you had like a squarish calendar, obviously the Sabbath day would be the last day on the row. Now let's go ahead and, now that this has all been explained, let's go ahead and get into this, okay? So Passover starts here at sunset, all right? And there's commands in the Bible, I think I have them in the next scripture, on when the Passover meal starts, okay? This is not a day of no work. You can actually work on this day. It's not until the next day where you can't work or buy. So when Judas left with the money, he could have went out and bought stuff at nighttime if he needed to. That's why they probably thought that he took the money to go. After sunset, Yeshua would have had the Passover meal with his disciples. He then went to the Garden of Gethsemane and had prayer. And he was telling everyone, watch, 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 and they were all sleeping. And then Judas Iscariot came, and then they took him captive. And then, remember, the cock crowed. Remember, Peter denied him all night, and then the cock crowed. And when does the cock crow, guys? At daybreak. So after that, after the cock crows, Yeshua is tried. He's then sacrificed. He dies on the stake, on the tree, on the cross. He's buried before sundown. So here we're at on the 15th day. So he was taken during Passover, and he was buried, and he died on the first day of unleavened bread. Let's count 3 days and 3 nights. Okay, because he was buried before sundown, we're not going to count a day first, but we're going to count a night first. So the night of the 15th is the first night in the grave. Okay, here you have on the 16th, the first day and the second night. Then you have on the 17th, you have the second day and the third night. And then here on the 18th, you have the third day in the grave. I suspect sometime after sunset, Yeshua was obviously resurrected. And then we have an account in Matthew 28, verse 1, which we just read, that Mary and Mary go to the tomb at dawn on the Sabbath day before the first day of the week. So on the Sabbath day, at dawn, before the first day of the week, they go and he's no longer there. There's an earthquake and there's an angel there. He had already resurrected, I believe, and that's it. So Yeshua rose on the Sabbath day, not the first day of the week, that many Christians try to use to justify Sunday worship, and not the keeping of the Sabbath day. So hopefully, guys, this makes sense, and I look forward to seeing your guys' comments. I'm not saying this is 100% perfect, but this is definitely the way that I see it, and it's looking pretty airtight.